Chosen one, something impossible has happened. Historians didn't uncover a symbol, a name, or a forgotten dynasty. Deep beneath layers of sand and ruined stone, they uncovered a face, your face, carved into lost history long before your lifetime. Not a resemblance, not a coincidence, a perfect, intentional depiction, etched with reverence as if the ancient world already knew who you would become. They tried to explain it through ancestry, myth, or artistic symbolism, but nothing fit. The measurements aligned with modern precision. The bone structure mirrored yours exactly. Even the angle of the gaze matched the way you look when you stand between doubt and destiny. This isn't genealogy. This is time echoing your identity. Your face, sealed inside civilizations that vanished without explanation, suggests one truth scholars fear to speak out loud. What has been will be again. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 10. You were not found in history, history recognized you. The discovery was never meant to reach the public. Chosen one, the archaeologists who descended into that forgotten chamber beneath the desert believed they were documenting another collapsed temple, but what they uncovered froze the air around them. On a fractured pillar, protected by centuries of silence, was a single engraved stone tablet. And carved onto that stone was your face. Not stylized, not symbolic, exact. The same jawline, the same eyes, the same expression that appears when you sense truth before hearing it. One researcher whispered, "This isn't likeness. This is recognition," and another demanded they shut down the site immediately. Their reports were redacted before sunrise. Files were pulled. Photographs vanished. And the team was instructed to never mention the anomaly again. Because they knew what the carving meant. If your face appears in ancient ruins no civilization could have predicted, then your existence isn't tied to this century. It's tied to a cycle older than memory itself. The public heard nothing. The world moved on. But history had already spoken your name without word. Chosen one, the discovery wasn't hidden because it was strange. It was hidden because it was true. Chosen one, when researchers compared the tablet to other lost civilizations, a pattern emerged that shattered every academic boundary. Across distant eras, civilizations that never met, never traded, never shared a single written word, the same face appeared. Yours. In Sumerian tablets, a wandering figure called the One Who Returns. In Atlantis murals, a luminous visitor with your unmistakable gaze. In Göbekli Tepe's oldest stones, a watchful guardian carved with the same bone lines you carry today. In the scattered myths of Mu, a traveler whose arrival marked the beginning and the end of cycles. Different continents, different languages, different beginnings and endings, yet one shared motif, you. These civilizations did not remember each other, but they all remembered you. Their prophecies didn't point forward. They pointed back, as if waiting for something familiar, something eternal, something that would one day step back into the world wearing the same face. History didn't forget you, chosen one. It waited for you, patiently, quietly, faithfully, across thousands of years. Because your lineage is not measured in blood. It's measured in returning. The deeper the researchers dug, the more unsettling the pattern became. Your face didn't appear in one forgotten era or one isolated kingdom. It appeared across millennia, scattered through timelines that never should have intersected. In a collapsed desert dynasty's burial chamber, a stone mask carved with your exact bone structure. In a coastal empire erased by floods, a weather-worn statue with the same angled jaw and unmistakable gaze. In a remote mountain shrine, a fading fresco where the figure's eyes match yours with impossible accuracy. Different continents, different materials, different artistic traditions, yet every depiction aligns with a precision ancient artists should not have possessed. This wasn't repetition. It was a signal. Cultures separated by oceans and centuries still carved the same face, as if answering a call passed silently through time. They weren't portraying a ruler or mythic guardian. They weren't idealizing beauty or copying style. They were documenting a lineage, one that returns whenever a new world cycle opens. Your face didn't migrate across history. History rotated around it. Every era that sensed a coming shift carved the same portrait into stone, clay, and gold, leaving behind a message too powerful for their language to express. He will appear again. Among the restricted archives of an old monastery, a fragment surfaced, one page from a manuscript that should have been destroyed centuries ago. The ink was faint, the parchment brittle, but a single line remained perfectly intact, as if protected by something beyond time. He will return with the same face. No title, no author, no date. Just that sentence, surrounded by marks where other lines had been scraped away by trembling hands. Historians identified the language as a blend of three extinct dialects, a combination that should not exist in any documented era. The manuscript itself appeared older than the cultures that supposedly influenced it. What unsettled the archivists was not the prophecy, but the consistency. That same phrase appeared in a clay fragment from a flood-buried city. It emerged again in a burned scroll recovered from a collapsed library. It was even whispered in oral traditions from tribes with no written history. Every record was either altered, censored, or lost shortly after discovery. Entire shelves of related manuscripts vanished. Researchers who tried to publish findings were dismissed or transferred. Someone, somewhere, didn't want the world to connect the pattern. Because the moment the pattern becomes undeniable, one truth rises. Your existence is not new. It is remembered. The scholars who dared to compare ancient records with sacred writings found something that shook even the most rational mind. The inscriptions, the carvings, the prophecies, all pointed toward a truth already whispered in Scripture, long before archaeology uncovered physical evidence. Before I formed you, I knew you. Jeremiah 1 verse 5. The verse was never meant as poetry. It was a declaration of pre-existence, the idea that certain identities are older than their earthly arrival. The more the researchers studied the texts, the more they realized this wasn't about spiritual symbolism. It was literal. Your days were written long ago, before one of them came to be. Psalm 139 verse 16. Your timeline wasn't created when you were born. It was activated. Parallel to the scriptures, they discovered early civilizations whispering the same message, that some souls return unchanged, recognizable across ages. The carvings, the frescoes, the statues weren't artistic interpretations. They were records. Records of a face that reappears whenever history enters a turning point. The ancient writers didn't draw from memory. They drew from destiny, the blueprint already known before time began. In their eyes, your existence wasn't a beginning. It was a return carrying the weight of centuries. There comes a moment in every ancient story where a distinct group steps forward, not because they are better, but because they recognize the calling written across their identity. The old civilizations called them the first circle, the returned line, the keepers of memory. These were the ones who didn't wait for history to reveal their role, they stepped into it. In the modern world, that circle forms again, not around temples or hidden chambers, but around awareness, around alignment, around the quiet certainty that your face didn't appear in lost history by accident. Becoming part of this circle isn't about status. It's about resonance. Those who join aren't spectators to the narrative. They are participants, aligned with the ancient signal that has echoed through eras. They are the ones who feel the pull towards something older than their lifetime, who sense that the carvings, the manuscripts, the prophecies were pointing not just to a single identity, but to all who carry the same frequency. Clicking join isn't a subscription. It's a declaration, a way of stepping into the role forgotten civilizations prepared for those who awaken in this era. A digital reflection of an ancient gathering, a circle of people who understand that they are not arriving for the first time, but returning. Join the ones whose identity echoes through history. Join the first chosen ones. There's a reason people react to you in ways they can't logically explain. Long before you speak, long before they learn your name, something in their expression shifts, as if a forgotten memory brushes against their awareness. They study your face for a moment too long. They hesitate. They squint slightly, trying to place a recognition that never belonged to their lifetime. The most common reaction is simple. I feel like I've seen you before. They haven't, but history has. What they're sensing isn't familiarity, it's remembrance. A silent echo carried through bloodlines, stories, ruins, and symbols. The same facial structure carved into ancient stone appears now in front of them, breathing, moving, alive. Their subconscious recognizes what their mind can't name. Some feel calm around you, as if standing near an old guardian. Some feel intimidated, as if confronting a presence older than logic. Some feel drawn to you without understanding why, the same pull ancient civilizations felt when they carved the same face again and again. Your presence activates something dormant in others. Their reactions are not random. They're responses triggered by the oldest data humanity ever stored, memory through image. You don't remind people of someone they've met. You remind them of something humanity has lost, and is now rediscovering through you. When you look into the mirror, there are moments when your reflection doesn't feel entirely modern. Certain angles, certain shadows, certain flashes in your eyes seem older than the room you're standing in. It's not aging, it's memory. Features shaped by something beyond genetics, beyond ancestry, beyond the logic of a single lifetime. There's a stillness in your expression that resembles the stone portraits carved thousands of years ago. A depth in your gaze that mirrors the eyes of figures preserved in temple walls. A symmetry that seems too intentional, as if sculpted rather than inherited. Some people carry youth. Some carry wisdom. You carry continuity, the echo of a face that has appeared again and again whenever civilizations sensed a turning point. Your charisma isn't loud. It's ancient. There's a quiet authority to you, the kind that doesn't demand attention but naturally shifts a room's gravity. Others feel it without knowing why. You don't look old. You look eternal, as if time didn't age you but simply paused around you. Every time you catch your reflection and sense something different, you're witnessing the same qualities ancient artisans tried to capture. the agelessness, the familiarity, the presence that doesn't belong to one era, but all of them. Your reflection isn't showing you a person. It's showing you a returning identity. There is a reason your face reappears precisely in this era. Ancient civilizations believed that certain identities return only when the world enters a transitional cycle, a period where old systems collapse, new structures rise, and humanity shifts toward an unfamiliar horizon. Your appearance in lost history wasn't a tribute to the past. It was a marker for the future. Every ancient carving, every mirrored portrait, every preserved inscription was less about who you were, and more about when you would resurface. They treated your face like a cosmic timestamp, a signal that the era they foresaw had finally arrived. Their prophecies spoke of a figure whose return aligned with upheaval, awakening, and reconstruction. Not destruction, transformation. The reason your identity echoes across millennia is simple. This is the cycle they were preparing for. You were not meant for the era you were born into. You were meant for the era unfolding now, a moment of alignment between past knowledge and future necessity. The world is entering the same energetic window that ancient civilizations experienced before their greatest leap. The face carved into their temples was a message left for this exact moment in time. Your presence now isn't coincidence. It's timing, precise, foretold, and activated. The cycle has reopened, and the identity they recorded in stone has stepped back into the living world to complete what was left unfinished. There is a moment in every ancient narrative where the individual steps from observer to participant, not through words, not through belief alone, but through a symbolic act. Civilizations that carved your face into stone understood this. They believed identity was not something you discovered, it was something you claimed. And to claim it, they used a ritual, a gesture, an offering, a seed. In the modern world, the form has changed, but the principle hasn't. The ancients taught that when a person recognizes their place in a returning cycle, they seal it with a conscious step. Not because destiny needs proof, but because you do. You mark the moment where the old self ends and the remembered identity begins. That is what the $20 Super Thanks seed represents. It isn't a transaction. It isn't a payment. It's a declaration. I accept the identity history recorded. When you click Super Thanks and sow your $20 seed, you symbolically take the place the ancient inscriptions prepared for the one who would return with the same face. You anchor yourself into the cycle that has reopened, the cycle civilizations whispered about, carved about, and guarded for centuries. This act is personal, private, intentional, a modern reflection of an ancient initiation, a way of stepping into the timeline your face has been tied to across thousands of years. If you feel the pull, if something inside you resonates with the carvings and the manuscripts and the echoes, this is your sign. Seal your ancient identity. Sow your $20 seed. Step into the face history remembered. There's a realization that arrives quietly, almost shyly, after all the evidence, all the carvings, all the echoes have been laid out. You were never meant to fit into the identity the world gave you. You were meant to remember the identity the world once knew. For centuries, lost civilizations didn't speak of someone chosen. They spoke of someone returning, an individual whose presence signaled that a long-dormant cycle was beginning again. Their records weren't predictions. They were reminders. Their inscriptions weren't warnings. They were confirmations. You aren't stepping into a destiny you just learned about. You're stepping back into a role that was waiting for you. Everything you thought was coincidence, the way people react to you, the sense of familiarity in strangers' eyes, the intuitive pull toward ancient symbols, it wasn't random. It was recognition. The world doesn't see you for who you became. It sees you for who you've always been. History didn't predict your arrival. It remembered it, and the flicker you sometimes feel within, that strange sensation that your life is larger than the timeline you were born into, is not imagination. It is memory resurfacing, the echo of an identity preserved in stone, earth, and scripture. You are not discovering yourself. You are returning to yourself, the figure whose face civilizations recorded so the future would know when the cycle had begun. As the ancient identity within you awakens, the world around you begins to shift in ways that feel subtle yet unmistakable. These aren't supernatural events. They're alignments, signals echoing through your environment, confirming that the same force that carved your face into lost history is now surfacing in your everyday life. You'll notice yourself drawn to old symbols without knowing why. Spirals, suns, pillars, wings, eyes, geometric patterns that once decorated temples and tablets. They won't feel foreign. They'll feel familiar, like memories you never lived yet somehow recognize. Ancient places will call to you. Museums, ruins, historical sites, old cities. You'll feel strangely comfortable there, as if your body understands the layout before your mind catches up. Dreams may start shifting too. You might see stone corridors, torchlight, temples, deserts, oceans, or faces from civilizations that technically shouldn't exist in your memory. These dreams aren't messages, they're echoes. And then there are the people. Strangers looking at you as if they've met you in another lifetime. Cashiers pausing mid-sentence. Passengers staring for a moment too long. A friend suddenly saying, "You remind me of someone, but I can't think of who." These aren't coincidences. They're confirmations, small ripples from a truth resurfacing in the modern world. Your presence activates remembrance in others, because the identity they feel around you is the same one ancient civilizations carved into stone ages ago. As the identity recorded in forgotten civilizations begins reawakening within you, everyday life subtly transforms into a continuation of an older path. The world around you becomes less random and more symbolic, and your actions begin to matter in ways that echo far beyond the present moment. To move in alignment with this returning cycle, your lifestyle must mirror the qualities ancient cultures preserved in their depictions of you. Start each morning with a quiet declaration, not an affirmation, but a remembrance. I walk with the identity time has returned to me. This isn't about manifesting, it's about anchoring. The ancients believed the first words of the day set the direction of one's timeline. Pay attention to your instincts. Your intuition isn't guesswork. It's memory rising from a forgotten lineage. When a place, a decision, or a person feels familiar without reason, trust that familiarity. It's the same internal compass that guided the figure carved into temples and tablets. Move through the world with presence. Not arrogance, not distance, presence. Your energy has weight, the quiet gravity of someone who has existed across eras. People sense it. Lean into that without hiding or shrinking. Treat your body as the vessel of a returning identity. Rest deeply. Hydrate intentionally. Carry yourself with the posture of someone history prepared space for. And above all, walk as someone the past has been waiting to meet again. There is a stillness that comes at the end of every ancient cycle, a moment where the past, the present, and what is yet to come align like three pillars of the same forgotten temple. That moment is now. Everything written in lost civilizations, everything carved into stone, everything whispered through manuscripts and buried scripts leads to this closing step, the conscious acceptance of the identity history preserved for you. Before the ancient world sealed their prophecies, they always ended with a prayer, not asking for power, but for remembrance, a restoration of what was known before the world forgot. So this is spoken over you now. Lord, awaken the ancient identity carried in this soul. Restore the memory written in lost history. Reveal the purpose protected across ages. Let what was hidden rise again. Let the face remembered by civilizations return in full clarity. Guide this one into the destiny carved before time. And now the cycle closes with your final action, the modern reflection of the ancient ritual. If something in this journey stirred you, if you felt recognized, not explained, if the signs echoed with familiarity, then step fully into the identity carved in forgotten stone. Type Amen. Acknowledge the awakening. Click Join and walk with the first chosen ones, the circle that mirrors the ancient gatherings. Click Super Thanks to sow your $20 seed, the symbolic act that seals what your spirit already knows. You are returning to the identity history never stopped recording. The cycle is open. Your face has reappeared. Step into what the past preserved for you.